Hello everyone, welcome to the When at Work podcast show with your host Julian Leahy. Today I'm joined by the fantastic Lynn Quinn. Welcome to the show, Lynn.
Oh, thank you so much for having me today.
All right, we've just got Lynn, but Lynn is more than enough for an episode. She's lots of fun, and I'm going to play against Lynn, sort of. All right, Lynn, today we've got holidays and observances, nature, sports cups, like, what's a sports cup? Like the hockey cup. What's that one called? Do you know?
The Stanley Cup?
Yeah, that one. Things like that. Snails, clothing, and ancient times. What would you like to start with, Lynn?
Let's go with nature for 100.
Nature for 100. Like whales, manatees have a layer of this fat under their skin. What do we call the fat that whales have, Lynn?
Oh, blubber?
I reckon.
What is blubber?
Blubber is correct. Lynn, you're on 100. Well done. You're in control. What would you like?
Let's go with nature for 200.
Nature for 200, says Lynn. Species of these include the mouse-eared, disc-winged, and fruit.
What is a bat?
Bat is correct. Well done. I used to live in Queensland when they had all these giant fruit bats, and I moved out there, and I was in the swimming pool, and this thing went whoof, 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 landed on a tree, and I jumped out of the water and thought, like, what the heck was that? And it was a fruit bat. Anyway, all right.
Well, maybe that's a sign of good luck to see such a rare animal.
Exactly. Afterwards, it was pretty fun once I realised what it was. So, what would you like, Lynn? We've got, well, nature. Do you want to continue on nature?
Yeah, let's go nature 300, please.
Nature 300. On giraffes, this prehensile muscle can be 20 inches long. Don't think what I'm thinking. It's or if I was to ask my son, he would say something rude. It's not that. But if you've ever seen a giraffe eat, you'll know.
What is neck?
It's actually the tongue. They've got this huge tongue, and they can sort of grab leaves with it and just grab them in. It's really cool. Lynn, what would you like?
Let's go with nature for 400.
Nature for 400. If you spot a snipe, you've seen this type of creature.
What is a snake?
It's a bird. And have you seen that movie Up?
I believe so, quite a long time ago.
The little boy is looking for a snipe, and it's a bird. I think that's correct. Just a little reference, you know. What would you like? 500?
Yes, please.
500. Members of this genus, Papio, are the largest of all monkeys. The largest of all monkeys, but not primates. The largest monkey. Members of this genus, what are the largest monkeys?
What is an orangutan?
It's a good answer. It's actually baboons. So the orangutans are considered primates, and the baboons are considered monkeys, I think, even though they're kind of cousins. What would you like, Lynn Quinn?
Let's go with clothing for 100.
Clothing for 100. Principal body part covered by busby, burnous, or babushka. Oh, it's clothing. So where do you wear those types of clothing? A busby, a burnous, or a babushka?
What is the neck or shoulders?
Good answer, like some sort of shawl. Let's have a look. It's the head, so it's some sort of hat. There you go. Thought it was a Kate Bush song.
Yeah, I felt that it was somewhere in the upper region.
Me too. I wasn't sure. Yeah. All right. Where are we going, Lynn?
Let's do clothing for 200.
Clothing for 200. In 1987, New York City imposed a dress code on the 39,000 licensed drivers of these. It's got to be two. There's one of two, I reckon. Do you know what I think the two are?
Yeah. Yes, you go, please.
It's bus or taxi driver. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think the horse and carriage was still around in 1987.
No.
Well,
Maybe
the
for
Hanson
tourists
cab.
it was around Central
Yeah.
Park. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to have a go at this one. I'm going to say taxi. There can't be 39,000 buses. What does it say? I can't read it. It says taxi. All right, excellent.
Yay!
Man, I can imagine that would have been hard to enforce. The taxi drivers would have been a bit tough to deal with. I'm not wearing this. All right, Lynn, what would you like?
Let's keep on with the pattern and go with clothing for 300, please.
Clothing for 300. In the military, it's clothing designed for work and field duty. You know, the stuff that tires you out. It's a tire joke. I don't know why.
Oh, I'd like you to take this one. What do you think it is?
Tires you out. In military, it's clothes. Oh, I got it. Fatigues.
Oh,
Because that means tired. I knew there was some sort of joke in there. All right, actually, I'll give myself some points for that. I'll go over here. All right, so I've actually... So you're on 300, I'm on 300. All right, sounds good. All right, I'm going to pick clothing again. I like clothing. Let's do that one. 400. Worn by women in Rio, it's called floss dental or dental floss because it's mainly a string. You see the Brazilian hotties down the beach wearing those.
All right, this is another one I'll give to you.
Like a thong bikini, I think it is. You know what I'm saying? Let's have a look. They call it a bikini, but I reckon they're talking specifically about the floss ones, you know, thongs. Anyway, let's not talk about thongs. I'm going to go clothing 500. The uniform worn by male servants, its name is from the Old English for something given. Oh, male servant. I gotcha. So what's a male servant? Have you seen The Nanny? You know The Nanny? Well, you're too young for that.
Oh, with Fran Drescher.
Yeah. And you know how there's a male servant in that, an English guy?
You know, I honestly, I don't remember the specifics of her. I remember she was the nanny and she was like very fun and had a lot of charisma.
Well, there was a British guy in a suit and he was the servant. And there's a name for that type of person.
Oh, what is a butler?
Yeah, that's what I think. Let's take a look. It's a good answer. Oh, I've given you the wrong. It's a livery, sorry.
Oh.
I give terrible clues at times. But we were never going to get livery, were we? I've never heard
Maybe
of that.
not.
No. All right, what would you like? We've got holidays and observances, sports cups, snails, and ancient times. How could there be a whole category on snails?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm a little intimidated by that
me
one.
Too. All I could know is escargots, the French, when they eat them. That's the only other snail thing I could think of. Unless it's about that movie with the Pixar movie or something with the racer. That was a snail. I don't know. Anyway, what would you like?
Let's go with sports cups for 100.
Yeah, let's do that. Sports cups for 100. The Davis Cup. What sport?
What is water polo?
It is I'm sure it's tennis. What does it say? Yeah, tennis is what we're looking for. Okay, continue on. What would you like?
Let's go with holidays and observances for 100.
Holidays and observances for 100. Palm Sunday occurs this number of days before Easter.
Ooh, I'm going to give this one to you.
Okay. So Easter, right? So you got Good Friday, Easter Saturday, Palm Sunday. So you've got 3 days. Yeah, so it's Friday. It's on the Friday. Would that be 2 days before? That's 2 days. Yeah, of course. It's 2 days. Easter Sunday, Easter Saturday, Good Friday. No, I'm wrong. It's 7. It's the week before. Palm Sunday. What was I thinking? That was the dumbest thing I've ever... I said Palm Sunday and I was confusing it with Easter Sunday and Good Friday. Man, my brain just absolutely did not go there for that one. All right. I'm going to pick... Let's do it again. Holidays and observances. The Jewish 10 days of penitence begin and end on these 2 holy days. Do you know anyone Jewish?
I'm going to give this. This is another one for you.
Okay. So the Jewish 10 days of penitence begin and end on these 2 holy days. So they what? They had like Shabbat. Nah. All right, I don't know this one. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I've heard of Yom Kippur. Sounds like a yummy fish. What would you like?
Let's go for snails for 100.
Yeah, let's try the snails. Let's do it. No more fear. In French restaurants, the Helix Garden snail is better known as this.
What is escargot?
Escargot, there you go. Well done. Glad to help. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, that was the one that you had said earlier.
I know, amazing. That's the only one I knew that would be in that category, but now we've got to do all these other ones. Number of feet you have to be an official snail.
Isn't it at least 8?
How many feet do snails have, Lynn Quinn? I've never seen a snail with 8 feet.
Wouldn't that be pretty neat, though?
It would be neat. I'd probably have to go to the doctor and say, I saw a snail with 8 feet, and they'll put me in a jacket. Have another guess.
What is 1? Maybe that
one
that
is correct.
Okay.
Well done, Lynn. I saved you.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop to think of snail.
Maybe you thought they were just so little feet that you couldn't see them, like microscopic. All right, let's do snails 300. California sea snail whose ear-shaped shell with a row of holes often ends up as an ashtray, and you can blow it and it goes...
What is a conch shell?
Yeah, that's what I think. Oh, man. No, we're wrong. It's a abalone. I was wrong by telling you it was the thing because I immediately thought it was conch. California sea snail whose ear-shaped shell with a row of holes often ends up as an ashtray. Yeah, it's a abalone. Have you ever eaten one of those?
No, and so that's what I saw in my head was that typical ashtray, like the 70s. There would be that shell, but it said ear-shaped. So then I thought you were right, more of like the conch, that the circle.
Well, you know what? That might be one of the next answers. You know what I mean? Because I think it is still a type of snail, a sea snail. So it might come up. Cameos are carved from the pink shells of this snail whose name is from Greek for shell. What's a cameo? Some sort of art piece. It's like a sculpture out of shell, I think. It's not like those things where you say happy birthday to people if you're a celebrity.
That's what I was thinking.
Cameos are covered. Pink shells of this snail. All right, I'd probably just guess conch if I was you.
Well, this one's all you. So what do you
Okay,
think, Julian? What are you
I'm gonna
gonna go
guess
with?
conch. Hey, we got it.
Hey,
I
all
knew that
right.
it was gonna come up again. I mean, how many snail questions can there be? Last snail question 500. Shakespeare compares a whining schoolboy to a snail in this play, All the World's a Stage speech. And now we've got to guess a Shakespeare play. Do you know any of these?
Not really. I'm not very familiar with Shakespeare.
Well, there's Hamlet. There's oh, there's all these Hollywood movies that got made about these plays. There's one with oh, all I got is Hamlet. All right. Oh, Romeo and Juliet obviously is one.
Mm,
Yep.
yeah.
And there's another one I'm thinking of, but who knows? As You Like It. No, I've never heard of that one. We would have never got that.
Yeah, and I feel like too, as you're saying, so many plays have been turned into Hollywood films that it's like become this other Shakespeare mixed with modern culture.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that would be the only way I'd know them is if I'd seen the movie. Like, because I certainly haven't read the original plays. All right. What do we got? Holidays and observances, sports cups, ancient times.
Let's go Sports Cups 200.
Sports cups 200. Hope for that hockey question comes up. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
All right. You got it. You got it.
I'm going to
You've
have
already
to.
answered that one. Oh, I put the points in the wrong spot, so I gave it to Blue. You've actually got 800 points now. Would you like to continue on sports cups?
Yes, please.
The Breeders' Cup. What's that?
What is canine?
Of course. Dogs.
And how would that be prefaced? So, what is a canine show?
Yeah, your dog show.
Or,
Yeah.
mm,
All right, let's have a look. Oh, it's horses. It's thoroughbred racing.
oh,
Bum, bum. Sports cups for 400. The Ryder Cup. I've heard of that.
now that's the one I would have said was for horses.
That one's actually for golf. I'm sure of it. Golf is correct.
Oh,
Amazing. All right, we'll do one more question, then we'll wrap it up. How are we going? Yeah, the time's getting on a bit. Sports Cups for 500. The Grey Cup. Do you know that one?
no, I don't.
That is the Canadian version of the NFL. That's Canadian football, the Grey Cup.
Hmm.
All right, well done. You got 800 points. I got 1,100. I don't know how that's right.
Yeah.
I must
Well,
have got a 500 one.
And you navigated the board much more swiftly than I did.
Ah, well, I also uploaded the questions. Some would say that might have helped me, but I didn't see the answers. You just have to believe me. Millions wouldn't.
Yeah, I've wondered that. How do you pick the question?
I've got a spreadsheet of like 30,000 Jeopardy questions, and then I just highlight 31 of them, copy them to another thing, and I've already told ChatGPT how to like the HTML to make the questions. You know what I mean? So I just got to paste the spreadsheet in, and it will spit it out. Oh, it's too. You didn't need to hear all that, but yeah.
Well, I've been curious. So it sounds like they are randomized. Is that, or you use ChatGPT
Well,
to randomize them?
I got a spreadsheet that somebody has watched every Jeopardy show in history and made like a database of every question from back in like 1985 even. And so I got that spreadsheet, and I just go through and I skip anything that is really, you know, like it might have a question about Ronald Reagan or something that nobody would know now. And but like, you know, snails or sports or foods, you know, they stay the same over time. So I try to pick all those type of questions, but sometimes I don't. And yeah, so I still got tons of questions left, so I'll be able to do this for another 100 years.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Well, good. So the fun continues.
The fun continues. All right, now let's talk about the fun that you're up to, Lynn Quinn. Tell us about the zones of Atlas.
So the Zones of Atlas is the group that I work under for the zones of communication and the zones of being, which for communication, it's an expression outward, and then the zones of being is more of an internalization of them.
And can you tell us specifically the types of things you talk about in these groups? So it's a group, and the group is based on your work. Who's it for, and what are you trying to help people with?
It's primarily for writers and speakers. I also teach a reflection writing class, and in those classes, I go over the four zones, which are pink, yellow, higher, and halt. And the zones are based on an understanding.
And so are you specific? You did tell me that you work with a lot of neurodiverse people, but not completely. And are these people trying to learn how to become writers, or are they trying to learn how to communicate in their own lives better?
It's a bit of both. So I do work with people on both ends of the.
You don't want to say
Uh,
spectrum. I know what you're saying.
Wait, what was that?
Yeah. Both ends of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the screen changed. Yeah, both ends of the spectrum,
Yeah.
where there's some people who haven't wrote since high school. They're a great fit for the reflection writing classes I do. And then more speakers and writers, that's more of the cognitive architecture that I do, where I help speakers recognize the subconscious process of conscious words.
Gotcha. And what's the pink zone?
The pink zone, that is an ideal place to be, where things are based on a shared understanding, where what the speaker is saying is understood by the listener. And I do want to emphasize that it's an understanding rather than agreeing. So people don't have to agree with each other to understand each other. And that's one of the things I help people do, is to get in that pink zone of understanding one's own individual perspectives and the individual perspectives of another, and that they can coexist.
Got you. And what are some of the other zones? And that'll help us understand even better.
The yellow zone is a zone of ambiguous understanding. So this is when a conversation doesn't quite fit, where one person is thinking and speaking one thing, and then the listener is understanding it differently. So there's a disconnect. The other two are the higher and the halt. And those two zones are a dramatic shift from the first two. So the higher zone is when the pink zone amplifies, when there's that shared understanding that really turns into something magnificent. And in contrast, the yellow zone transition to the halt zone transition is more of when an argument boils out of control and someone may yell or throw something against the wall, where there's that desire to alter the physical reality so that the mental reality can also shift.
Gotcha. And was there a specific incidents or incidences that you can talk about that caused you to create this program?
Yes, the main one was a disagreement that I had with a professor while I was at Washington State University. I questioned the curriculum, and her perspective was that I didn't quite have the right to question the curriculum. And I disagree. I feel like as a student, it's my duty to question what I'm learning, to question my environment. And that's where I developed the zones by drawing a Venn diagram of my unique perspective, her unique perspective. And then where the perspectives overlapped, I highlighted pink. And that was the pink zone. That was where I could understand that from her perspective, universities are difficult to navigate. It's hard to have critical thinking when there's 200 students in
Yeah.
a class. So I want so in the pink zone, I would understand her perspective and she would understand my perspective of how excited I was to be at a university and to challenge myself. And so that's how the pink zone was developed. It was through a misunderstanding and my deep desire to have that shared understanding.
So yeah, you needed to kind of work out a way that you could go forward and work with the situation, even though it wasn't how you thought it should be. You sort of found some common ground and you understood why it was the way it was, and you found a way that you could get through it without having a bad result like argument or quitting college or whatever. Hey, what was the element of the course that you didn't like, and what was your suggestion of how it should be? Can you say that?
Yes, it was about the multiple choice and how I felt like as a student, it was my duty to just to memorize. I had one class where
Yeah.
the professor, he got angry at a student for taking a picture of the slide. And he was like, if you can't write everything down on the slide, then you don't belong here. Well, it's psychology. It's not a dictation class.
Yeah.
My ability to learn, I think it's not the best idea to have that depend on how fast I can write something down.
That's really dumb, isn't it? Like he's sort of saying, like, well, you can't even write this slide down. Like, like that is why, that's a sign of skill at university. It should have nothing to do with it. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? It's sometimes, and also what your expectations of things are different to the reality, and that can be a real big shock. And then you get there and you feel a little bit upset that it's not at all how you perceived it to be. That's how I felt about college. Yeah, but you just got to find a way to work through it. Well, that's very interesting, and there's all sorts of situations in people's lives where this type of skills that you've developed with this pink zone type stuff to help people navigate in their jobs. And do you have people that use it in their relationships as well?
Yes, I would say that's where I've seen it shine the brightest is within relationships and more of day-to-day instances of, for example, being in the car, driving in the car and then getting cut off by someone. And the halt zone and the yellow zone would be to get angry at that. How
Mm.
dare this person cut me off? But the pink and the higher zone is more of an understanding. Maybe that person's late. Maybe they're having a bad day or they are
Maybe
about
they're a
to.
jerk.
Well, yeah. Well, it's pausing to
Yeah,
think about
yeah,
that, to think, okay,
yeah.
what zone am I going to be in?
And then
Is the,
how am I gonna react? Am I gonna and then what happens if I react
yes.
badly? And that's good because I've had that situation before, and somebody was a bit crazy in their car, and they got out and then was banging on the windows and stuff, and I really had to stop and think and do the right thing, because yeah. So it's good stuff, and a lot of people have different ways of processing information, and some of these strategies are really helpful for people because sometimes we don't get taught how to do this stuff. And if you're not like everyone else, everyone just assumes you can do it. And so this is really helpful for other people that maybe feel like this piece was never taught to them. They're confused about this still. Yeah, it's so I can see a lot of value to it, Lynn.
Well, thank you, Julian. And yeah, as you pointed out with your incident, it's the zones are really meant to help people introspect and recognize, okay, what zone am I in and what zone do I want to be in by giving it some sort of a name. I feel like these zones don't really have a name outside of it. So, yes, it's a great way to help recognize what's going on.
Wonderful. And then now so you've got a group, and then what do you do in the group?
They're reflection writing classes.
Yeah.
They're an hour and a half long, and it starts off with an introduction, settling in, and then there's 3 writing prompts and about 10 minutes for each writing prompt. And then the second part of the class is open sharing, where people can talk about what they wrote about, ask questions. It's the first part is for introspection, and the second part is for community, and then also thinking about the subconscious to conscious thoughts more deeply. And I find that in sharing in a group and with speaking with others, it helps to process information on a deeper level.
And does it help them become better writers, Lynn?
It's helped me become a better writer, and I've heard people give me positive feedback about how the writing has kickstarted their introspection. So I do see positive results with others and myself.
Wonderful. And are most of the people in the group, are they writers, or are they people trying to navigate the world?
I would say both.
Yeah.
It's both. There's a wide range of people. It's more of people who are interested in what I'm all about with the zones. That's the common denominator. And I do have a class on Eventbrite. If anyone out there is interested in checking it out. Have you used Eventbrite before?
I think so. Yeah, so if somebody goes to eventbrite.com, there's a search bar, isn't there?
Yes.
And what do they type in there?
Lynn Quinn or reflection writing.
Reflection writing, and it's Lynn Quinn, Lynn, N, 2 N's, Quinn, both double N's.
Yes.
Easy to remember. Lynn Quinn with a Y. Go into Eventbrite, search that in, or search for reflection writing. And when is this event?
It's in late August.
Late August. So get yourself a ticket. And what does it cost?
It's free.
Free. Wow, that's a good price.
$3.99.
Yeah, $3.99. All right, wonderful. And that's Lynn Quinn, everybody. And Lynn's website is zoalq.com. Is that right?
Yes.
ZoaLQ. So that'll be in the show notes, and you can also catch her on that Eventbrite event. Thank you very much for playing and sharing all of that, Lynn Quinn.
Yes, thank you so much too, Julian. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'm going to wrap things up. See you next time.